So the assumed connection is Lee and Brown, as the same as both are Miles Messervy. Again, just to reiterate that the two female M's have different personalities. Olivia even call Mum. Craig's M, they call Mum. Brosnan's, they don't. Let me back up a little bit, because some of you may not get the connection, but Admiral Hargreaves was played by Robert Brown. That's why some people think the Robert Brown M is Admiral Hargreaves, because they're the same actor. But, yeah. Another fun little fact that kind of links all the Bonds together with this whole idea is that all the Bonds hold the naval rank of commander. And you can see that throughout the films also. So, closing this up for Casino Royale, I actually want to put this theory out, and it has to do with the code names altogether, is that some of the code names, I think if a name isn't given with the code name, then they could be thought of as just code names and not actual people. For example, the double O's. Some of the double O's are named, and if they're named, I think they represent the character as a whole in all the films. For example, 009 is in 3 films, or he's mentioned in 3 films, and he isn't given a name. He dies in Octopussy. He's mentioned in The World Is Not Enough as trying to assassinate Renard, and he's mentioned in Spectre, but his name is never given. So to me, that could technically be 3 different 009s. But for example, Bill Fairbanks is 002, and he is alive in The Living Daylights. He's one of the guys that jumps out of the plane with Bond at the beginning, pre-opening credits, and he's the one that survives. He's the one that gets shot with a paintball gun. And then he is named in The Man with the Golden Gun. So when they name a character, I think it is their actual, that is the actual character. So he's both of those characters. Another example of that would be like the M's. The M's aren't named, when they're named those individually, but they're hidden. Q is a code name. That's why I think Moneypenny is a code name also. Another thing is that the Spectre agents are numbered, but some of them are given names. So it's kind of, and another person who's named is openly is Felix Leiter. So I believe Felix Leiter is the same Felix Leiter throughout all of them, and I'll get to that later when we start talking about Quantum of Solace. But so again, just to kind of make it a little bit clearer, when 007 is a code name, 009 is a code name, or any 00 who isn't named is a code name. Is a code name. The 00s that are named are not code names. They're the actual character and represent itself is a code name, but there's multiple Qs. I'll get to that at another time. M, code name. Moneypenny, possibly a code name. Most likely a code name. The actual name Moneypenny, but not necessarily the character itself. And then just the Spectre numbers. They're code names also, especially after we see them die. Those that aren't are Bond, Leiter, the double agents named, and again, possibly Moneypenny. Okay, the second film in my Bond storyline chronology is Quantum of Solace, and the reason this is because it comes after Casino Royale by minutes. It is it's basically a sequel of Casino Royale, and a lot of people, this is just a side note, that a lot of people, they don't like that movie. And originally I didn't. When I went to see it in a theater, the first time I saw it, I didn't really like it, but I went back to give it another shot. And over the years, I've actually begun to like it more. And the reason is because I actually, when I sit down and watch it, I actually watch Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace back to back all the time. And it makes a world of a difference. They're actually like one movie. So try doing that sometime if you haven't. Other chronology factors is there's relief at the end with the Vesper issue. It kind of comes to a closure. There's also the introduction there's the continuation of Quantum and Mr. White. And then Mathis is also in there. And Mathis and Bond kind of have a heart-to-heart about Vesper. Again, the Vesper Martini's in there. And I believe it's mentioned also that 007 is promoted too early again. So, and another aspect is Rory Kinnear we see him as the Chief of Staff. Some continuity issues are, not issues, but continuity. Aspects are the introduction, the discovering of Quantum, and Mr. White being a part of that, and eventually we see that they're part of Spectre. They're like a tentacle of Spectre. And that's really it for those. I mean, it's really simple. Because it's a very short movie. It's less than 2 hours. I think it's like an hour and 48 minutes, something like that. But anyway, on to the debunking. People, the biggest issue is, I won't touch the biggest issue yet. Let's look at, again, the issue of Codename, where those of you who believe Daniel Craig is a different Bond, this is going to be really tough for you to get around. First of all, like, when I watch these movies, like I said before, if something catches my eye, I bring the screen in really close, and I tend to read everything that can be read in regards to paperwork or whatever. So, anyways, when Bond he connects with Camille in the car, and then he follows her up to where she goes to meet Dominic Green, and he's on the motorcycle, and then he finds out she tried to have him killed, and they have that little spat and whatever, and he comes up on the motorcycle and he gives his business card to the guard. Well, one day I was watching that, and I'm just like, I noticed it said Universal Exports on it. which is, pretty typical of who Bond is. He'll present himself as, Universal Exports, and he'll give his card. But I zoomed in on that card, and some of you, this is going to spark a memory for you, and some of you, you're just going to have to go back and watch the film. But the name on that business card is none other than Robert Sterling. And Robert Sterling is Bond's code name in The Spy Who Loved Me when he's with Anya Amasova. It's Mr. and Mrs. Robert Sterling. And he goes to visit Stromberg. So there's the connection between Craig and Moore.